Have a good background for him? Hi, today we're honoring at the T.A Marryshow Community College. We're honoring the legacy of T.A Marryshow himself, who was born on November 7th, 1887, and the 135th year since his birth. And he was a significant game changer. And God knows we need game changers for society this time. So we're celebrating by a march to his house, from the college to T.A Marryshow house. Thank you. Yeah, when you're ready. Yep, we need somebody else to do that, right? Find somebody. By the center. By the center. Yeah, okay. Adio. Barcender, man. Anti-press. Quick, fast.
Up, up, up. Oh, bless him.
Thank you, Jesus. Bless him. Thank you, Jesus.
It don't matter your march.
Bless that only. Let's go on top of each other. Let's go on top of each other.
thanks for coming. Thanks for sitting. And we begin our activities now. Mrs. Angela Finley, Chief Education Officer, Ministry of Education, Sports and Culture. Dr. Nicolo Philip Dow, Deputy Director, Acting, Country Sites. Dr. Ronald Brunton, Principal of the T.A Marryshow Community College. Mrs. Keisha Kamajan Branch, Head Acting, the UA Open Campus, Grenada. Ms. Claudia Ali, Program Officer, University of the West Indies Open Campus. Mrs. Gloria Bain Banfield, University of the West Indies Center. Dr. Terence Marryshow, grandson of T.A Marryshow. Dr. Marryshow is a prominent medical doctor here at Nairobi, Grenada. Mr. Rani Ian Marryshow, grandson of T.A Marryshow, currently serving as the ombudsman here in Grenada. Ms. Vanessa Barrett, assistant lecturer, T.A Marryshow Community College. Council members of the T.A Marryshow Community College. Other council members of the T.A Marryshow Community College. Mr. Colin Dow, former council member of the T.A Marryshow Community College. Committee members of the T.A Marryshow Community College. Members of the senior management team. Faculty and staff of the T.A Marryshow Community College. Specially invited guests. Students all. Members of the public. Friends for embracing us with your presence as we celebrate the life and work of T.A Marryshow, who was a great son of the soil, one who articulated well for the formation of the Caribbean islands. Today we look at his life, his work, that we listen and we participate, that we will have a fruitful time together. So at this time I will invite the podium to offer a word of prayer. Mr. Marryshow.
Good afternoon. I would like to invite Ms. Stanley, please, for the reference. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come. God of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Honor you, and we magnify your holy name. We acknowledge you as the God above all gods. Be with us and as we gather to commemorate the 135th birthday of your servant, Theophilus. Let the memory of this visionary son of the Canadian soil and inspire us oriented to honor Erigeri as the father of independence. We, Lord, from generation unto generation, revere you as the supreme father, the father of us all. As such, we our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. Amen. Thank you.
T.A Marryshow. At this time, I will invite Dr. Ronald, principal of the T.A Marryshow Community College, to make some welcome remarks. Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Dedicate. Mr. Elvis Moraine, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education, Sports and Culture. Ms. Angela Finley, Chief Education Officer, Ministry of Education. Dr. Nicole Philip, Deputy Director of the UWI Open Campus Countryside here in Grenada. Ms. Keisha Commission Branch, Head, Acting of the UWI Open Campus Grenada. Ms. Claudia Hale, Program Officer, University of the West Indies Open Campus of the West Indies Center. Grandson of T.A Marryshow. Mr. Ronnie Ian Marryshow, grandson of T.A Marryshow. Members of the Council of the T.A Marryshow. Other members of the T.A Marryshow. And other Marryshow community. Community College. Indeed, welcome all to this auspicious occasion. So good afternoon and welcome. It's a pleasure to be here today to join with our colleagues of the UWI Open Campus site here in Grenada to welcome you all gathered here today. I wish to extend a special welcome to our students by your presence here in future generations, and of course your recognition of the importance of Mr. Marryshow demonstrates your understanding and appreciation of our historical figures. I want to thank those who joined us in the procession on this quite hot and humid day from our campus across the Carnage to get here. So thank you for participating. It does indeed draw what we're doing and attention to the legacy of this great contributor to the national discourse at the time regarding issues of racial sole tertiary institution funded by government. It is our quality education out into centers. All of us at TAMCC, we're very proud of Albert Marryshow, son of the soil, far beyond Grenada, to the United Kingdom, parts of Europe, the United States, and Africa. There's no doubt about Marryshow's devotion and patriotism to Grenada. On the occasion of his resignation from the Legislative Council of Grenada, he said in his, "I shall always remember which I before in years part of the West Indies. He saw Grenada as a champion of all that was West Indian. It was his newspaper called the West Indian. You are looking down the throat of West Indianism." And let me repeat that again. Here in Grenada, you are looking down the throat of West Indianism. So he was a proud West Indian gentleman. While proudly a Grenadian, he was undoubtedly, indeed, a of the federal development, social, economic development residing within. For the establishment of the federation that the West Indies criticized obstacles, impeding and slowing. And indeed, it must have been a difficult. Fortunately, in the fruition and establishment of the West Indian, a moment of great pride as an individual. And undoubtedly, it would also have been an act of mercy that out of the lack of vision and cohesiveness of politicians, the Federation, a famous statement of the Theophilus Albert Marryshow was a man, gentleman, a man of many facets, diverse personality, many interests. He was a journalist, no doubt, a politician, a statesman, an activist for labor rights, a poet, a philosopher. The poem was really referred to as the rosary. Right? And we know that keeping the roses alive is not an easy task. Yes? So he was obviously a well-versed gardener. Persons who know him reported that he was also a singer and I suppose a dancer as well. And a bit of a spendthrift is what I hear as well. Right? A traveler, much more. He was a man who lived life to the fullest. A man who overlooking the carnage, and of course these many attributes I think are quite fitting for the establishment of a community college values that we at the T.A Marryshow Community College aspire towards. Indeed, he lived a full life, much of it right here in this house, as he read and wrote, entertained friends as well. It is here, what was known as the Rosary, that is now obviously renamed the Marryshow House and occupied by then at the time that has now evolved into the UWI Open Campus that his house is located. So today, a privilege for me to be here today, an honor to celebrate with you the achievements of T.A Marryshow and the achievements of college, named after an intellectual college. Again, we're inspired by his passion, activities that will honor his legacy. We have a panel discussion. We have a number of cultural events that are planned. We have showcased his legacy on campus, and we have many other activities that we have planned to again celebrate his achievements. First of all, I welcome you to this week, not just this Mr. Marryshow, but also to articulate and to aspire towards many of these values that we have recognized through his achievements. Thank you all very much, and I hope to see you at many of the other activities that we have planned for the week.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ronald Bronton. Before I invite Mrs. Keisha Commissioner, head of UWI Open Campus in Grenada, to make some welcome remarks, let me recognize our students from the Carriacou campus and those from St. Patrick's. You are not always with us in celebration, so thank you for joining us here today. And we're looking forward to your presence in future celebrations. I now invite to the podium Mrs. Keisha Commissioner Branch. They'll give some welcome remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I promise to be short because I'm having a cold. So good afternoon again, everyone, and welcome to the birthday celebration of the father of West Indian Federation, grand old man of West Indian politics, an elder statesman, Grenada's bulldog, Theophilus Albert Marryshow celebration. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome you to the home of the late T.A Marryshow and the home of the University of the West Indies Grenada site for the last 57 years. I stand on the protocol already established, as I said, towards my birth. Today is the 135th birthday of the T.A Marryshow. Welcome again as we celebrating the life and legacy of T.A Marryshow. Is our specially invited guest and resident tutor of the University of the West Indies Center. It is with great regret that she is unable to be here to physically celebrate with us today. But for health reasons, she is unable to do so. We keep on talking of her. She is joining us online, and I especially want to thank you, Dr. Steele, for maintaining the artifacts we found at the Marryshow House of the late T.A Marryshow. The last exhibition, I believe, was in 1970. And she labeled and kept everything intact. Today, we are able to display. This university, I believe, is a manifestation of the West Indian unity. It exemplifies the unity that the late T.A Marryshow was so passionate about. A unity of Caribbean contributing for the development of a university rooted in the Caribbean. With 40 physical sites in 16 English-speaking Caribbean countries, the University of the West Indies have all Indianism to 10 global centers: America, Latin America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. The UWI is an accredited university to education for West Indians in and outside of the region. Whether it be for professional development, for certificate programs, for degrees, undergraduates, masters, postgraduates, is the reality of the unity that the T.A Marryshow fought for West Indian people. As you participate in this ceremony and the exhibition of the life and work of T.A Marryshow, you are encouraged to internalize the contributions made by T.A Marryshow and identify the relationships between the history of yesterday and the realities of today. I hope that you are motivated at the end of today's ceremony and by the end of this week's activities to be a contributor as a West Indian that contributes to the development of the West Indies. I welcome you to this house, especially the specially invited guests, the grandson of T.A Marryshow, Dr. Marryshow, and Mr. Ronnie Marryshow, who shares with us their celebration of their grandfather. Thank you. We at the UWI Open Campus especially happy to actively participate in this event as it represents true camaraderie among partners that shares the history and the name of the great T.A Marryshow. Welcome to this house and please enjoy the celebrations.
Right. All right, and this time we have a short video presentation. invite Dr. T.A Marryshow, the grandson of T.A Marryshow, to unfold Theophilus Albert Marryshow. Dr. T.A Marryshow.
Thank you. Acknowledging protocol that's already established. Sisters and brothers, over the years, from time to time, I said, am I really here? Do you know the name Marryshow, the school that you go to? And they would say, yes. And I said, do you know anything about T.A Marryshow? Absolutely nothing. And existed at the same time was a salient not only for today and for the future. He said, history is the landmark by which the true course of life is directed. And he also said that a country without a history is like a tree without roots. And I think these statements, they speak for themselves. Attention and importance is given to our history. In all of our days of national celebration, led by Archbishop, a day like today would have been a half holiday. It was recognized as such in that time. In that time, we also had a Heroes and Martyrs Day. And all those designations, they have literally been removed from the calendar of events. Almost as if someone was trying to erase that kind of history from our brain. Heroes and Martyrs Day, that declaration. And so I've been invited to share with you a little bit of Theophilus Albert Marryshow, known generally as T. Albert Marryshow, was born in Grenada on the 7th of November, 1887. Beginning work as journal, federal. He became a track. In 19 Marryshow began to run. Mr. Marryshow founded the and on the threshold of the cycle, in the 1920s, T. Albert Marryshow and Captain had emerged as the two outstanding pioneer leaders in the endeavor to secure unity for the people of the Caribbean. Then Secretary of State for the appointed reform presentation. T. Albert, hence his title honorable, elected such as the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, who recently passed away. In 1944, he was awarded the title BE, and highly coveted by many. Conference in 1932, only because his influence was declared for the liberation movement, concerned Caribbeans domiciled in the United States and initiated and carried out in the homeland. These supporters, who had earlier forwarded a memorandum together with $10,000 to the Caribbean Labor Congress, gladly welcomed the famous advocate of union and independence. Having consistently demanded self-government as essential to federation for 40 years, Marryshow felt compelled proposals for closer union brought into the Grenada legislation. His stated reason for opposition was that to the British government. For independence, he accepted appointment as Senator of the Shore in 1962. Later in that year, on October the 19th, 1958, the elder statesman passed from the scene of life and activity. The patriarch was spared the pain of events to follow. Many were the tributes paid to this highly revered tribune of the people. A vivid recollection made by a Jamaican journalist reported. Drawing room he entered, gracious, urbane, with a strange mixture of flashing eyes and mischievously smiling lips. But it was the public platform with swaying seas of humanity before him that inspired him to dazzling heights. Then his voice would hang tremulously over men's minds, and always it was the same vision he conjured, the splendid mission of a united West Indies, taking its seat among the nations of the world and contributing out of its special experience to its own peerless ideas of racial harmony. In addition to the foregoing tribute, there is a comparatively recent assessment made by the former Deputy Governor General of the West Indies Federation, John Mordecai, in the West Indies, the federal negotiations. London, 1968. A journalist of humble origins and persuasive charm, T.A Marryshow thought in terms of all the islands working together for political reform. He became the most eloquent advocate of federation in his speeches throughout the Eastern Caribbean. In the late years, Marryshow was called the father of federation, and no one could deserve the title more. Honorable T.A Marryshow, former resident of the University of the West Indies in Grenada. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. T.A Marryshow, for sharing this informative biography of Marryshow with us. Now we will have a cultural presentation in the form of a song by Ms. Jalen Jones, a student of the T.A Marryshow Community College. Jalen Jones and Company. That was indeed some good old Negro spiritual singing. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to invite the podium P. Banfield. Now, Mrs. Banfield is a great. Now, she served here in Grenada in more than one government administration, from the Sir Eric Matthew government. I guess she will expose, she'll tell you some of that. Apart from being a former resident tutor of University of the West Indies. So she is going to come now and acquaint us with the political life history of Marryshow, Bulldog. So she's going to acquaint us with that concept. So I now invite Mrs. P. Banfield to the podium.
Not that I do recognize you from T.A Marryshow in Tennessee. I do think that you all have made this a special year, and I compliment you on your dutiful, if not voluntary, participation in this exercise. And when I was growing up, my father had two photographs, all framed, and in those days they said it was pass for two. You all remember that word? Pass for two. They set it up with a glass in front of it and all that. And there were two people. One was Cipriani, Trinidad and Tobago, and the other was T.A Marryshow of Grenada. So from very young, from the age of that I could sort of learn to see things, I recognized a man called T.A Marryshow. And that's because my father thought that these two people were heroes. Not only heroes of their own country, but heroes of our West Indian identity. So, I can tell you that I still have those photographs, but they're not passed for two as they were then. The glass has broken out, but I still have them. And at the very tender age of 6, I was told that these two West Indian men were fighters for West Indian Federation and West Indian. They were fighters for West Indian unity and freedom from colonial rule. In those days, we were all under what they call crown colony government, which meant that everything that affected us economically, politically, and even socially had to be directed from a place called therefore, when I talk about Marryshow, the bulldog, as a political figure, his fight was not against another political party, they were not in those days, or another political person running against him. He had no opposition for a long time. But it was against colonial rule. And colonial rule was represented by somebody called the governor. So Marryshow and the governor of Grenada, and by extension the governor of the Windward Islands, because the governor of the Windward Islands lived in Grenada, and Grenada was the seat of the Windward Islands. His fight was against him, and he was not unswerved in his direction. In short, he was going to tell him as it was. So much so that some of his writings in his West Indian newspaper were considered to be defamatory. But he couched his language in such an interesting way that they could never get him to court and charge him for libel. They did that with Donovan, his boss, Colby Donovan, who had to spend some months or years in prison because of writing defamatory articles against the governor. But in Marryshow's governor represented that colonial rule from Britain. And so I would say that his Marryshow, a politician, he offered himself for the legislature as a member of the legislature and held a seat there for many, many years until the Federation came up and he was inducted in the federal parliament, and so that is when he desisted. Right? In all his writings, and he used the West Indian to attack the governor and the colonial rule. He used the West Indian mouthpiece for the rights of the people, the working men. And by the way, he never left out the women, because he thought that they should be given the equal opportunity to stand side by side with the men and have equal opportunities in the pastures of the world where opportunities abound. In 1931, the colonial office decided to pass a bill, caused a bill to be passed in the Grenadian legislature to raise taxation, and a few other measures which they thought would be cost-cutting, so reduce the cost of government. One of those measures included stopping the band, working as a policeman, from playing in the botanical gardens and the Fort Rocks and on the Esplanade, which I'm sure you all know now are familiar with that, because this has stopped almost totally. But every Sunday afternoon it was the thing to walk on the Esplanade, in the botanical gardens, on the Fort Rocks. And the songs of the police band would help you to enjoy it even better. Well, they stopped that. And they also put a tax on milk. And that was were demonstrative of the kind of person Marryshow was. For example, music in our misery, give us the band. It's one of the posters. Feed the babies, give them milk, was another one. And there were other such colorful posters. Needless to say, the taxes were receded. And I'm sure that the band came back to play, because in my lifetime, in 1931, a long time before I was born, I knew of the band that played in the Botanical Gardens. While offering himself for office, his symbol was the bulldog. And incidentally, it was a British bulldog. And that sort of demonstrated again the enigmatic person that Marryshow was. Marryshow of the workers of Grenada and for the rights of the people of the West Indies to become united. But he also recognized the place that we have in the Commonwealth of Nations. So, when the war broke out in 1914, as the First World War, Marryshow was there helping the war effort to raise funds for the West Indian contingent to fight against the enemy of Great Britain and the British colony. He was there also advocating that when he talked about equality, he meant equality of his West Indian people to work side by side with the peoples of. So he of black racial discrimination. He did not like any form of racial discrimination. When the West Indies was still mired in this what you call social period where you had upper class and middle class and lower middle and lower and all of that. He suffered. He suffered from the discrimination of color when he was refused to eat an ice cream in a restaurant in Barbados. And when he protested because he bought a ticket, a first-class ticket on a boat to Trinidad and was put in the economic section, what they call it, third class section, he protested. He always fought for not only his rights, but the rights of his people. He was known throughout the world. Perhaps the only place where they didn't know Marryshow must have been in Eastern Europe. But he was known in North America, in Africa, and particularly in Great Britain, where I think they fed him. And whenever he made a trip to England, and he wanted to see the Secretary of State or whoever was running the colonial office, he saw them. They made it possible for him to see them. He was an adherent to the British Labour Party, and they did all in their power to facilitate his movement whenever he came to India. As you heard before, he was invited to the wedding, to the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, and he was invited to many other events. not only in Great Britain, but in North America, where at that time, people like Marcus Garvey and W.E. Du Bois and Frederick Douglass, and all of those men were writing politically about the rights and freedoms of humanity. And of course, they were not in favor of racial prejudice, and neither was Marryshow. And to depart from serious things, do you know you are sitting in Marryshow's rose garden? This was the rose garden where you were sitting. He had his terrace and his gardens. His roses were planted on the terrace and they were converted into seeds. But I remember him as a little girl taking the shortcut up the Jordan to Green Street and then towards the wall where I went to primary school. I remember him sitting in his rose garden, and he sat as if he was contemplating not only the roses, but all of life. He sat very pensively, an old man there. I remember him. I never stopped to say good morning, because I was warned that if I did, something terrible might happen to me. But I admire the fact that he was always well dressed. When he surprised me, he was only with his roses, and he had on his polka dot tie. And well, I remember his funeral. When the funeral service was held in the Methodist Church, he was an ardent Methodist. And the Barbados police band came for the occasion. And the Barbados police band was no pure police band. It was something that Barbadians was proud of. And perhaps they might have been the best in the Commonwealth then. But they came for the funeral. And when they got to the top of Lucas Street, and the band was, that's the first time I saw a baton waver. And he got into his thing, he made a circle and he came back and then he pointed the way up to the cemetery. And everybody in the crowd cheered. You wouldn't think they were there for a funeral. But these are the memorable occasions. I particularly, as a little girl, witnessed. I don't remember much of his rhetoric and political activities, but I do remember some. And these I am very happy to share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Gloria P. Manfield. Now we will have the reading of the essay written by Marryshow, Consideration of West Indian Islands. We'll have that reading by Yvonne Decoto Alexis. Is that person here?
Good afternoon. Today I'll be reading an excerpt from the essay Confederation of the West Indian Islands, and this was a prize-winning essay in 1917. In a broad sense, the chief advantage of the Confederation is the advantage of unity. Unity is a so with colonies and states. Unity based on sympathy means progress and power. We must, however, show certain departments and instances in which specified advantages will be gained under Confederation, and we say that, in our opinion, politically, intellectually, and morally, Confederation will be a positive advantage to the West Indies. Confederation will be advantageous politically. A West Indian Commonwealth will be in a position to assert its claims with far more dignity and receive greater consideration than can ever be shown by and extended to the spasmodic demands of the separate little colonies. If ever the West Indies are to take an honored place in the imperial councils of empire, that West Indies must be organized and united West Indies, representing a common political force swayed by the desire of common service and striving after a common aim and destiny. Politically, the Confederation of the British West Indies can be made into an imperial advantage, and not only an advantage of colonies concerned. Confederation will be advantageous intellectually. Federation of islands will be the basis of a federation of ideas for the good of the whole. Outlook will be broadened, and by a regular inflow or flow of men influenced from one colony to the other. The Confederation of the West Indies will give opportunity for the establishment of an intercolonial educational board or council responsible for education in all its modern and scientific branches. It is only by confederation that we can hope to boast of a West Indian university comprising among the recognized studies of a broad education, the study of agricultural and technical science for the promotion of our economic development. The need of the present time in common educational ladder and ideal for the West Indies. The education of the West Indies should be general to all, since any dark ignorance of the majority of the West Indians cannot be excused by the brilliance of the few. We are either uneducated or educated as a whole. We stand or fall together as West Indians. Our elevation must be general. An admonition of Paracelsus, who said, "Destroy the giants and elevate the race," is a phrase of no little significance to the West Indians. Confederation will be advantageous morally. It will make for a uniformity of principles of law and order, and gives a common point to the moral progress and ethical development and refinement of the people. The federation of the forces of moral training in the West Indies is no unimportant thing. It will be of lasting benefit of future generations. Apart from the above heads, there are other advantages to be derived from the Confederation of the West Indies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You will go to Alexis. Now, Mr. Alexis just read an essay, an argument T.A Marryshow put forward in his essay for the Confederation of the Caribbean Islands back in 1958. Now, the Federation was really established by the British Federation Caribbean Act in 1956, but the Federation itself came into existence in 1958. At the time of the Federation, we had 10 countries, including Grenada, Jamaica, Barbados, etc., under the leadership of one Prime Minister, with his office was in Trinidad and Tobago. Later on in the discussion, we will learn something about more about the Federation. I want to state in that essay before we go into the discussion. T.A Marryshow said the chief advantage of the Federation was unity, and unity is strength. And as in the individuals, colonies, unity means progress. So he highlighted the cause for the reason for the Federation three bases. I said politically, he said that the Federation, as a group of countries, would be in a better position to articulate our cause and to gain better consideration. And also, he said that the Western Indian would be as an organized body that would represent or show a political force, power. Then, in terms of intellectually, he said that the Federation would be a basis for Federation ideas, the people of the region to express their ideas, and the inflow and outflow of ideas in men and women across the region. And also, he said that the Federation would focus on agriculture, technical science, and later he mentioned the university that we can have under the Federation. Of course, back in 14 we had the University College of the West Indies, and under the Federation, the time of Federation, 58 to 62, we had a consolidation of tertiary education. So Marryshow did in fact present a good argument in this Federation. So we had a federal government. So at this time, we would have we were supposed to have a second reading. In the interest of time, we would not have that second reading. I think, all what we did here, we will somehow give enough attention to Marryshow. So that other reading will leave it up for now. But we go to a discussion headed by Ms. Vanessa Barrett, Assistant Lecturer of the T.A Marryshow Community College. And we will try to discuss and wrap up that discussion in 25, 30 minutes. Yes, so we'll begin that discussion right now. Ms. Vanessa?
Good afternoon, everybody. Protocol is already established. Pleasant good afternoon to everyone. My role this afternoon is to lead a discussion, particularly targeting students, on the items that were discussed said concerning T.A Marryshow. Now, my role particularly was to lead the discussion on the essay that was just read, Confederation of the West Indian Islands, the prize-winning essay written by T.A Marryshow in 1917. Now, before I get into that, I noticed that we're a bit sleepy, right? Particularly the students were a bit sleepy, and interesting remarks. So I just want to see if you were paying attention and following along, right? So the first question, where was T.A Marryshow's Rose Garden located? Right here, right? So the next question, what was the name of Marryshow's newspaper? It was mentioned, quite a few times by Mrs. Payne Banfield. The West Indian Rose. So you're paying attention, but I still have two more. What was the name by which T.A Marryshow was referred to? The bulldog, right? And the last question, what food item was taxed by the colonial government in 1931 that inspired that 10,000 person march? Milk. All right, so you will pay attention. All right, so my role here is to lead a discussion, and as I said, I'm targeting the students. And one of the first questions I have to lead the discussion on is, what are some of the aspects of Marryshow's vision that we have seen materialized? So based on the political intellectual, and educational vision that he had for the Caribbean. What are some of those aspects that we have seen materialize since 1917? All right, so I'll give one. It was mentioned by Mr. Pierre, we have had the consolidation information of the University of the West Indies, right? That was one of the things that he mentioned when he alluded to that's coming together for regional educational body of council, setting up of a regional university, right? One other one that I want in particular relation to that, education. It was not mentioned in the article per se, but based on his ideas, we can see it in Caribbean society today. Any takers? Any guesses? The Caribbean Examination Council, CXC. Right, that Intercolonial Education Board, it's not colonial, but it is that common educational board that oversees examinations at all the way down to primary school up to tertiary level. Many of you are pursuing the Cape examinations. So this is a general question. How can this vision be applied to today's Caribbean? Anyone of the students can answer? Can Marrishow's vision be applied to today's CARICOM? That call for unity. It's open to anyone who wants to answer. Yes.
While the students are thinking of the correct answer to your question, ma'am, I just want to. Oh, I got a mic. I didn't need the mic, you know, my teaching in GBS. Need a mic. Yes, while the students are pondering the answer to your question, I just want to make a few remarks about Theophilus Albert Marryshow. I'm privileged to say that I knew the man personally. Personally. Just as I looked at him, just as I'm looking at any of you. At the time I was a teenager, and only teenager. I was a student of the Presentation Brothers College. And I stayed at the time with a lady on the Coronado. You see that place where the telephone company, not Flo, no. Cable and wire. See where cable and wire is built there? That was a wide open space called the Colesmac. The wide open space. And we, or the boys in the area, used to play their cricket and their football there. And Mr. Marryshow used that area for his political meeting in preparation for election for the legislative council. And I was close to him during his meeting, very close physically. And he used, yes, the symbol was the bulldog. But I want to say that the bulldog, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the symbol he chose as the bulldog was in competition with Sir Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was also, had also the symbol of the bulldog. Am I right, Mrs. Biography?
Yes.
Yes. And Marryshow was an interesting person. I used to, as a boy, the person I was staying with would send me here to this place on some errand. Can't remember the type of errand, but I would come not to him. I couldn't be sent as an errand to Mr. Marryshow. I mean, who am I as a boy? But to some persons that were working here. And you see, this place here where we are standing is what gives the place the name the Rosary. And now, students, you must not, when we say Rosary, it's not the Rosary like what the Catholic use here. It is spelled Rosery because it means a rose garden. And all this place here, this area, or goes in the open, and Chris and Ricardo will be glad to hear that. And you know what is to take place in the year? Performances, plays, and Marryshow was a great promoter of the performing arts. And he would sit down here and enjoy people performing. I'm saying something that caused him to leave. He would sit and enjoy the public performances that were taking place in this spot. And I knew that because I used to be around. But two things about him quickly, before people start leaving. Two things about him quickly. Marryshow, you just heard the reading from his essay explaining why the need for the Federation. But what you may not be acquainted with, his seminal book is The Cycles of Civilization. How many of you have read that? The Cycles of Civilization. That's a masterpiece of the English language. A masterpiece. I had my copy when I was a senior teacher at the GBS. And I wanted to introduce, because at the GBS it is the most senior students I interacted with, not so Chris? Oh, you know, you can get that. It's more senior students I interacted with. And so I brought a copy of the Cycles of Civilization to introduce my students to the writings of T.A Marryshow. I must tell you, unfortunately, after that introduction, telling them, showing them the Cycles of Civilization, the book vanished in thin air. I don't know whether it went up or went up. Thin air. And I'm not saying anything more about it. Why did you write the Cycles of Civilization? First of all, I should tell you, if you have not read the Cycles of Civilization, you must get it. Do we have copies of it here? Yes. You must get a copy and read it. All students should read it. All students of T.A Marryshow Community College must read the Cycles of Civilization. As I said, it's a masterpiece of the English language. The language is rich, fresh, flowing. First, for example, Marryshow, I will finish this one. On one occasion, one of the colonial officers was visiting Grenada, based in Governor House. And they took up a copy of the West Indian and read it. And they were amazed. Who's writing that? Who can write this kind of English of such a high standard? And they sent for him, the colonial office official sent for him to see the man in the colony of Grenada who can handle the language to that extent, who can write English to that extent. Another thing, there are some rumors, you know. The man that you put it a while ago that said came up with that special method of mathematics that is very unorthodox, 1 from 10 is 0. Dr. Eric Williams, it is said, and that don't put me as a rumor, it is said that Marryshow was the godfather of Eric Williams. Because that was said. It could be a rumor. Now, before I say what else I need to say about the man. The man, he would pay, just imagine, you said that he went to England on a couple of occasions. That's quite. But the man would pay his passage. You tell a politician now to pay your passage to travel. Government supplied the funds for travel. But the man would pay his passage and go to England and even address the House of Commons. On occasion. And when he stood up in the coach market down there, what used to be called this coach market, and there I was, living very near, almost on the boundary of the coach market, and he spoke, and he displayed the symbol of the bulldog. He was a great orator. As he could have written the language, so he could speak the language. And something you need to know, Marryshow and Eric Geary, father of independence, father of federation. Marryshow was famous throughout St. George. He was well known in St. George's. In fact, on one occasion when there was an election and Geary was running, nobody could win in the St. George's seat but Marryshow. Geary would win the seats in the country areas because Geary was as the history was the well-known and well-established in the areas where you have estates and estate owners. I didn't say more on that. But Marryshow was famous, and his fame was in this St. George's area. Nobody could win an election. Nobody could win the St. George's seat in the legislative function. And it is time that someone of you students writes the biography of Theophilus Albert Marryshow. Thank you.
Though written in 1917, T.A Marryshow's essay is particularly relevant today, especially as we look at the changing tides of the world. The Caribbean, and there is a need now for politically, intellectually, and morally, as Marryshow would have mentioned, but economically as well, to meet the challenges of the just concluded global pandemic, the changes of and increases in advanced technology, and even the changes on the international, political, and economic scene, where we see a rise in left-wing policies and protectionism and so on. The need for unity in the Caribbean is even greater today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And in summary, we understand from the essay read the case that argument Marryshow presented for the Federation, which happened in 58, ended in 62, and in the principal's remarks, we learned that Jamaica indicated its intention to pull out of the Federation, and the then Premier of Trinidad and Tobago, Sir Dr. Eric Williams, said that 1 from 10 would leave us with 0, indicating in that statement also Trinidad's intention to pull out of the Federation. And once we have Trinidad and Jamaica out of the Federation, obviously the would be no federation. Because at the time we just had 10 countries. And the federation had a lot of controversies about, for example, leveling, income tax, central planning. These were challenges the federation had, but however, the federation was able to achieve a few things among the consolidation of tertiary education, the setting up of regional port, and the establishment of a regional airline service to move the people throughout the Caribbean region. So the controversies of the Federation also led to the islands of the Windward and Leeward region to form in '66 the West Indies Associated States, which Grenada was a part of up to its time of independence. And then in '68 they also formed the East Common Market. And in essence, those two informal associations that were formed in '66 and '68, they actually formed the history, I would say, of what is now called the OECS, which was formed in 1981. So we moved from the West Indian Federation to 65, Carifta, 73, CARICOM, and in 89, right here in Grandlands, via the Grandlands Declaration, we established the CSME, Caribbean Single Market and Economy, still Federation. And we have, in addition to these major regional bodies, we have like the University of the West Indies, Cricket Team, we have CXC, all these are integration missions, bringing together the culture and everything about the people in the Caribbean together. So at this time we will have the vote of thanks by Carla Felix Roberts. We have the vote of thanks. Ms. Roberts. Cultural dance, sir. Cultural dance. We'll have a cultural performance. Yes. And that cultural performance, we'll have that now. All right, audience. Just before the vote of thanks, I want to allow Mr. Lyrics and Benedict to share something that's very important.
Okay, just 2 minutes. I promised 2 minutes, right? I could not leave here without saying this. Myself and Ricardo Keynes Douglas are two of the people who have used this facility the most in Grenada. We do plays here. And we particularly glad to see that, T.A Marryshow is recognized in all his multiple areas of contribution to Grenada's politics and culture. I think the presentations that were done have been very informative. I think, however, there are two important, salient facts about this man's life that were not mentioned. And so I just want to point them out. T.A Marryshow was the founder and first president of the Caribbean Congress of Labor, 1945. I don't have to tell you what CCL has come to mean in terms of Caribbean labor politics and politics, right? And secondly, T.A Marryshow was one of the founders of the Grenada Cooperative Bank in 1932. Himself, C.F.P. Renwick, S.A. Francis, and others, W. Julian. And this bank was first referred to as the Penny Bank in the middle of the Great Depression, which lasted from 1929 to 1939. This bank was formed in 1932. And this bank has become one of the financial powers in Grenada's corporate sector. And so he has made his contribution in a variety of ways, yet to be fully recognized by Grenada. So I just thought it is important that students of history should know these things about T.A Marryshow. The story is not completely told, but what has been told constitutes very interesting information. Thank you for organizing this event.
Thank you to Mr. Lyrics for sharing with us these two important points about T.A Marryshow. We welcome that. Thank you very much. All right, so I have the vote of thanks now by Ms. Carla Felix Roberts.
Allow me to extend a sincere good afternoon to all. It is with great honor that I present the vote of thanks to you on such a day like today. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Almighty God for making today's special occasion a tremendous success. I thank our special guest, the principal of T.A Marryshow Community College, Dr. Ronald Bouton, Chief Education Officer, Mrs. Angela Finley, Head of UWI Campus, Mrs. Keisha Branch, Commercial Branch, Program Officer of the UWI Open Campus, Miss Claudia Haley, Lecturer of T.A Marryshow Community College, Mr. Danny Pierre, and Assistant Lecturer, the grandsons of the late T.A Marryshow, Mr. Ronnie Ian Marryshow and Dr. Terence Marryshow, Mrs. Gloria Payne Banfield, and our host, Ms. Vanessa Barrett, for their participation and their efforts in making this day a success. I thank you to the distinguished entities present and students of T.A Marryshow Community College for accepting our invitations. A heartfelt thank you to the various departments and faculty for their invaluable contributions. Once again, thank you all for your attendance and attention in making this day all that it has turned out to be. As we, the school body, celebrate this tremendous milestone together, I wish you all a happy anniversary. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's events. Thank you again for gracing us with your presence. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. And don't forget, at the college exhibition all week, and you are invited. And right here, the exhibition right here. Tomorrow we'll be right here, exhibition.